Belgium in Group F crashed out, Martin, as we know, after a goalless draw with Croatia. Roberto Martinez, for him, we know Roberto well. I've known him for many, many years. He bowed out after 6 years in charge. And he said to everybody it was farewell straight after Belgium exited the tournament.
My situation is very clear. That was the end. Whatever would happen. If we were being world champions, we were being out in the group phase. This is the end of the time, and it's got nothing to do with being eliminated at this stage. I always work in a long term. I believe that the long term projects need to be long term, and they need to be set in advance. As you can imagine, since 2018, I had many opportunities to leave, to take jobs at club level, and I always wanted to be loyal. I always wanted to finish the job, and now I don't resign. This is the end of my contract. So the moment that you go to a major tournament in these conditions, that was always the plan.
Well, it's a bit of a sad end for Martin, as you could hear it in the tone of his voice. Martin, 2 questions to you. Where does he land next, and why is it that golden generations always seem to fall short?
Well, I mean, it's interesting. I watched a bit of that game this morning in preparation for today's show. Lukaku had, some really good chances, Jim, to finish that off. And it was Croatia or another team, really. Are they coming to the end of what they've, they were the finest in the last World Cup. They didn't move the ball nearly quick enough in this tournament. There's obviously in-house bickering with the players. But Lukaku had opportunities to finish it. He should have come on earlier in the second game. He didn't look like he was match fit. He came on at half-time. And I think it's right and proper that the manager goes now, because it is the end of an era. But he will end up in a top job somewhere. I'm not sure it's going to be in the Premier League. I really don't know where he'll turn up.
Has he earned the right to end up in the top job?
I think so. I think he's respected. I think tactically he's been very good in the past, although against Canada in the first game they got outwitted by the way that they played, and Canada kept changing their system thereafter, which they shouldn't have done.
Yeah.
They complicated things, but they certainly bamboozled Belgium in that first game. They've not had, I mean, they're looking at the players there. You look at Havertz, their top player, Hazard, nothing like the player. And really, why should we have expected him to have been? It's not a light switch you can flick on and off.
Yeah.
So the quality wasn't there. Lukaku not fit enough. Too much on De Bruyne. An ageing back three. And it really is the end of an era for that group. I don't see them being successful, Jim, again for a little while.
Out they go. Simon, does Martinez land in a top job?
Debatable. I mean, he has, if you look at it on the body of work, had a remarkable win record at Belgium. He's got a 70% win record, and if you look at the pantheon of international managers, he is above most of their win records. But the problem is not in this tournament, but in previous tournaments, he's laid down a marker of being unsuccessful and wasted opportunities. And you have to look at it and say whether the back four was aging now. In previous tournaments, they weren't. And you don't just look at Eden Hazard, you look at Kevin De Bruyne, you look at the absolute quality that they've had in that side. And you have to say, despite having had this quite remarkable win record of 70%, he has underachieved with this level of player available to him. So will he come out with reputations intact? I think he will have to be diminished. I was surprised he got the job in the first place. And what he's done with the job, I don't think has been remarkable in terms of outcomes, because he hasn't won anything. He hasn't achieved potentially. Now, of course, you have to look then and say what a remarkable country Belgium is for producing this level of player. We talk about golden generations. With due respect to some of the players they've got in their midst, some of our players couldn't light a candle, some of theirs.
Okay, fair enough. They're regarded, though, as a golden generation. Is he a golden generation? Is he a best-in-class manager?
Clearly not. Because if you've got this embarrassment of riches on the pitch, you need to have that complemented by a manager that can either get them across the line or affect outcomes far more meaningfully than he has done. And so with that in mind, I think he'll be disappointed. Now, he talks about long-term projects. You were given a long-term project. You've had a reasonable amount of time. No one can suggest that this was a fickle situation, that this contract was this competition, win, lose or draw, was going to be his departure. You have to look back over the body of work and say, well, your school report would say probably could have done better.
Yeah, but you think, Martin, the writing's on the wall when you hear stories about infighting within the squad, and we heard plenty of that.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't help. I just think if you go back to the pitch, and I watched the first game against Canada, I was almost astonished. 22 opportunities they had in that game, and you looked at it, and I had Belgium to go very well in this tournament. go at least to a semi-final. And clearly it was obvious that wasn't going to happen. Morocco did really well. Difficult team to play against, Jim. They could do well. Amrabat sits in front of the back four.
Yeah.
They've got Ziyech on the right side, Boufal on the left.
Yeah, they've talked about their chances this morning in our hotel. They've got
a really nice balance.
Yeah.
I just wondered whether in the end, he always wanted to play Martinez a back three. He never really deviated from that. Always the back three, the same system. I think everybody's worked them out. And I think Croatia really weren't in any real trouble in their game the other night. They come down to that game, two very good teams, Jim, having to play. Because of what Morocco have done in that group, they've just turned it on its head.
Sure. Well, this is what happens in World Cups, especially at this stage, winners and losers. And Belgium very, very much so lost out. And as a result of that, Roberto Martinez has departed from the scene as far as Belgium is concerned.